The Darkness subclasses Stasis and Strand, without a shadow of a doubt, are some of Destiny 2's most significant innovations throughout the years. Stasis was the spark that ignited a build-crafting revolution with the introduction of the aspect and fragment system, and Strand challenged the very idea of what a new subclass could offer by introducing radical movement systems and high actions per minute gameplay that is still incredibly addicting to this very day. And if you don't count Prismatic, I genuinely believe Strand is Bungie's best work when it comes to creating brand new powers to play with. And while at the time these subclasses completely dominated the sandbox, nowadays they certainly leave more to be desired because their light subclass counterparts have, quite frankly, raced ahead of them in terms of effectiveness and overall gameplay. The light subclasses offer an insane amount of variety, with each one having at least 2 supers to choose from, 7 or more grenade options, multiple melee choices for some, and overall just stronger verbs. And that's before we even include Prismatic, especially when you consider recent buffs such as the ones made to the Warlock buddy aspects like Arc Soul and Hellion. You don't even need to shoot your weapons for these things to clear an entire room for you. And yes, that is just one example, but you've got to admit that the pure darkness subclasses have fallen behind in recent times because they simply don't have as much oomph as they used to. So today, we're going to fix that. I believe the darkness subclasses deserve to be a stronger part of the sandbox, and out of all the possible ways Bungie could achieve this end, in my opinion, the best way to start is by creating multiple new super options, which is why I've spent the last couple months theory crafting and developing, along with the help of talented artists, 6 brand new, fully animated darkness supers, which I'm so excited to finally show you here today. We've also gone ahead and created one new subclass keyword / verb for both Stasis and Strand, which I think would fit very well into their kits, as well as some more general notes on how I believe the darkness subclasses should be brought up to the modern standard. Now, I know you're very eager to start watching these awesome showcases, but first I've got to give a massive shout out to fellow creator Toad Smoothie, because he was the one who animated each and every one of them. He's done a phenomenal job and deserves all the praise, so please go show his channel some love, link in the description box below. Furthermore, as you might imagine, creating these massive projects takes a lot of time and effort, so any support you can give to the video, liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends, or even super thanks, they are all greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's begin with Strand Hunter. The current kit for Strand Hunter is actually quite good. Recent buffs to Ensnaring Slam have made it a very good survivability aspect, with it being able to offer up to 20 seconds of Woven Mail, and the rest of the neutral portions are adequately covered by things like Whirling Maelstrom. However, Strand Hunter is missing a shutdown super for boss damage, and so enter Threadlash. Threadlash is a first-person roaming and shutdown hybrid super, where the hunter summons a strand lasso that can be thrown towards enemies, dealing damage over time. And it has 2 unique behaviors. Killing an enemy with a thrown lasso causes you to weave a new one, which can then be thrown again, but lassos will attach to higher health targets like champions and bosses, constricting and squeezing them while dealing heavy damage over time, and allowing the hunter to use their weapons simultaneously. It's possible to detach lassos and throw to a different target, and while a lasso is attached, it applies sever and unravel to the target, as well as siphoning a continuous stream of woven mail for the hunter. We think this super strikes a good balance between being able to use it in roam as well as for boss damage due to the unique attachment behavior. Also, bonus points if you can tell me where we got our inspiration for the startup animation. Drop it down in the comments. The Stasis Hunter again has a pretty solid base, but has been missing that cold, ruthless assassin vibe, which is why we created Reaper's Gale. Reaper's Gale is a third-person roaming super where the hunter summons a menacing stasis scythe with a dynamic moveset. We took inspiration from the Praxic Blade and decided it would be cool if the super had a baked-in combo string of 3 light attacks that eventually launch your target into the air, followed by 1 heavy attack that then slams them back into the ground. Similarly, we also thought it would be cool for you to be able to throw the scythe and have it bounce between enemies. And to provide a team support angle, we've also given it the ability to cast an Ascension style move that damages and slows nearby enemies, as well as granting frost armor to any nearby allies. The idle stance is very formal and was actually inspired by the playable Count Dooku character from Star Wars Battlefront 2, and we think it fits the hunter identity quite well. Now for the first of the Warlock supers, we have Dominion, a first-person super that I can best describe as the Strand equivalent of Song of Flame. Casting the super will expand your domain and project a domain aura around you that moves with you, retaining the ability to use your weapons. While Dominion is active, pressing your grenade key will alternate the effects your domain aura provides, which is heavily inspired by the Tan 2 character from Destiny Rising, who has a similar feature where he can cycle his Well of Radiance between a healing or damage source. And just like in that game, here each aura has its own unique effect. The offensive aura grants the caster and any allies within your domain increased kinetic and strand weapon damage, and the defensive aura grants allies woven mail. So the idea here is you're switching back and forth between auras to alternate the buffs you provide for both yourself and your team. To make things interesting, we've added a unique minigame to this super where a visible bar appears on your screen during it that slowly decreases over time, and if you switch auras at the correct moment, you get to keep the effects of the previous aura while in the new one. Finally, similar to how Song of Flame has the unique Wisp grenade, we've gone ahead and given this super a unique melee ability that launches 3 arcane needles in quick succession that recharges quickly. Definitely a very complicated super, but the motivation was that we wanted to create a cool alternative support option for Warlocks that requires a little bit more thinking than Well of Radiance and keeps the Warlock on their toes with baked-in skill checks. But do let me know what you think. Next up, we've got the Stasis Warlock, which off rip, I do just want to say, again, Stasis Warlock has got some of the best neutral game options, period. However, it's ultimately let down by its super because Winter's Wrath is roaming and lasts for quite a long time. Plus, it also doesn't do a lot of damage, so let's fix that. Enter Winter's Command. Winter's Command is a third-person hybrid roaming and shutdown super where you summon 3 stasis icicles above your head, which can then be hurled towards your enemies. Light attacking will throw 1 icicle at a time, and heavy attacking will fire all 3 at once for maximum damage. The icicles would instantly freeze anything they come into contact with, and firing all 3 at once will also activate a frostbite explosion, with frostbite being the first new keyword we've created for stasis, but more on that later. This super is probably the one I'm most proud of and would seriously love to see in game. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now onto the Titan supers. We're starting with Strand, and at least to me, there has always only been one clear option, a goddamn minigun, and thus we created the Thread Cutter. Thread Cutter is a first-person roaming super that summons a Strand minigun to lay waste to your enemies. The minigun fires at 900 RPM, applies Unravel, and ramps up its damage the longer it's fired. Much like Chaos Reach, the super can be cancelled early to preserve super energy, and dealing damage with Thread Cutter will generate and discharge stacks of unstable weave, our second new keyword, which again we'll come to discuss shortly. We think this super fits the Titan identity really well, and again really wish to see it in game. Old concept art even hints that a similar super was considered initially, though it appears this one here is more of a flamethrower type vibe. Finally, the 6th super we have is for the Stasis Titan, which again has some really cool neutral game but could use the addition of a shutdown super, which is why we made Cryo Surge. Cryo Surge is a first-person roaming and shutdown hybrid super, where upon activation you raise your fists into the air ready to unleash a devastating stasis attack. Your cryo gauntlets project a cone-shaped aura in front of you, and if any enemies are caught within it, activating your super again will cause an eruption of damaging stasis matter at the target locations. The damage of the super is divided equally based on the number of targets within it. However, if it's just a single target, such as a boss, the super deals maximum damage and also creates a frostbite explosion, giving it an edge inside of boss fights specifically. Before we get into the next section surrounding new subclass keywords, we've created some additional graphics that portray the supers as if they were being viewed in-game, along with some additional details. Definitely pause if you want to take a read. Here are the Stasis ones, including Reaper's Gale, Cryo Surge, and Winter's Command, and here are the Strand ones, including Threadlash, Threadcutter, and Dominion. Now, onto the new subclass keywords we've created, Frostbite and Unstable Weave. Frostbite is the answer to the missing major and boss target burst damage present within Stasis, and while yes, I realize that the majority of the Stasis identity is centered around crowd control rather than direct damage, in my opinion, in order for Stasis to compete, it needs a little extra firepower. So that's why we created Frostbite. Simply put, applying 300 slow stacks to a single target will cause a larger, more damaging stasis matter explosion. And this solves the stasis burst problem in two ways, because number one, this will almost never occur on anything other than bosses and mini-bosses, because mages and red bars will usually die before 300 slow stacks could ever be applied to them, so the already good crowd control doesn't get unnecessarily buffed, and two, it's perfect for boss damage due to the larger health pools they have, leaving ample time for 300 slow stacks to be built. Think of it like a stasis ignition that's a little bit more powerful. Circling back to the supers, you may recall that the triple icicle from Winter's Command triggers Frostbite, and so too does the single target Cryo Surge for the Titan. They seemed like pretty good fits for a verb such as this one. Moving on to Strand, in my opinion, a rather big weakness of Strand is that it's missing a good explosive verb like an ignition or bolt charge lightning strike to round out its crowd control aspects, which is why we've created Unstable Weave, which you can kind of think of as the Strand equivalent of bolt charge. Various abilities will now provide you with stacks of Unstable Weave that stack up to ×10, and when at maximum stacks, any Strand ability damage will discharge your stacks and create a damaging Strand explosion that also applies Sever, with the damage being similar to something like bolt charge lightning. I will admit it isn't terribly imaginative, however the addition of bolt charge to the arc kits has really helped in making them feel stronger and actually output competitive damage, especially during episode Heresy with Storm's Keep Titans. And I think the same could very easily be true for Strand if approached in a similar manner. The Titan Threadcutter super would have the unique ability to build up and discharge stacks of Unstable Weave all on its own, making it not only great for boss damage but also keeping boss targets under control with the Sever it provides. The supers are definitely the main focus of today, but do let me know your thoughts about these verbs down in the comments below, and if you had any alternative ideas yourself. Finally, for this last section, I wanted to briefly touch on some other aspects of the Darkness subclasses which could use some improvements or changes. For starters, we definitely need more grenade and melee options for each of these separate classes, more so grenades over melees, because every single light subclass has access to at least 7 grenades, and some have multiple melee options. And while I don't care as much for the melees, they should at the very least all get 3 new grenades each. So here are my ideas. For Stasis, it could be cool to see something like a slow mine grenade that deploys a lingering pool of slow on the ground, kind of like how chem grenades work in Marathon. You could also have a frost armor grenade that's sort of like a healing grenade, but instead applies maximum frost armor, or, and stick with me here, a brand new movement grenade. It's not fair that Strand should have all the fun with their grapples, so what if Stasis had a grenade which created something like a freezing trail in front of you, which if you then decided to slide across would grant you a large movement boost in whatever direction you were facing, almost like Frozone from the Incredibles movies, which I personally think would be pretty awesome. For Strand, there is literally already a 4th grenade in the game, which we can only access via the Strand Pickpocket modifier that deploys a bunch of seeking flechettes that unravel targets, so let's just make it official. There's also the possibility for a weave grenade, which would allow you to temporarily enter the weave and escape any danger for like 3 or 4 seconds, kind of like how Wraith Tactical from Apex Legends works, though I could foresee this creating problems in PvP. And lastly, something like a control grenade, deploying strand threads that temporarily make enemies fire upon each other, feeding into that cosmic threads fantasy where everything is connected, meaning you should be able to influence your enemies to harm one another through Strand. Imperious Curse from Harry Potter type vibe. And actually, this was possible in Destiny 1 via the Memory of Temur artifact, which made it so melee attacks had the chance to turn enemies against one another. Lastly, this isn't a major concern, but having some sort of additional effects attached to both Woven Mail and Frost Armor might not be a terrible idea, because right now they are both essentially the same effect with different percentages. So what if when you reached maximum stacks of Frost Armor, which for pure stasis is 8, you were granted a Duskfield aura around you, which slows enemies, rewarding you for building into maximum stacks, or if your Woven Mail timer was above 5 seconds, you'd project a Severing aura, rewarding you for playing up close and utilizing sources of Woven Mail that last longer than 5 seconds, such as Weave Walk or Ensnaring Slam. Those are my ideas, but definitely leave your feedback down in the comments. So that has been our showcase of how we would spice up the darkness subclasses. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, as it has taken a lot of time and planning to put together, and I'm personally super happy with how it turned out. A final note also, because I just wanted a good excuse to mention this, if we ever do get significant additions to the darkness subclasses, make Zavala be the vendor to teach them, since he's lightless and has been seen to use the darkness in the past. It just makes sense, really. Once again, a huge shout out to Toad Smoothie for animating the supers and helping with the project in general, and also big shout out to Court for coming in with the awesome infographics as per usual, and to Sorcerer for also helping during the animation process. I guess I also just want to say that while we probably won't see any of these supers or ability changes come to light, I still thought it would be a super awesome way to showcase specifically to the developers and the wider Destiny community that we still care, and are still incredibly passionate about the game that has changed so many of our lives. For me to even be in the position to make an awesome project such as this one is truly a privilege, and I really hope that through June and beyond, the Destiny train starts to pick up again. Anyway, I've left timestamps in the pinned comment if you'd like to go and rewatch these super showcases, and with that, we have come to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching and supporting my content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.